Daniel, thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem.
As Tall as Lions, new record. A lot of interesting instruments on it. All over the place. There's a lot of random things that I hear listening to the record.
Okay.
What was one of the, I know as a musician you probably are like, let's try this on a song.
No, we didn't. To be honest, we didn't use too many crazy instruments. I mean.
Is it just keys then just?
Yeah, a lot of. I have this S90 keyboard sampler.
Yeah.
And a lot of the crazy sounds you hear are just us like sorting through the 3,000 samples it has and going, that sounds cool.
And then how do you decide what ends up on which track?
Just
luck of the draw kind of thing?
No, yeah, you just I mean, if you're writing a song, you know, a lot of times what happens for us is we'll write a song on the piano or the guitar, and then when you start playing the song, you realize, okay, this sounds pretty, as Metallica would say, stock.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Some Kind of Monster,
that's a good movie.
A lot of it is just you play songs, you write songs on the guitar or the piano, and then you realize okay, when you start recording a song like that, you realize that it just sounds like any other song, and you have to say okay, how do we make this different? How do we make this sound like something that hasn't been done before? And for us, one of our tricks is to go onto our samples and play the chords, but with synthesizers, you know, so it just doesn't sound like we're playing a C and a G on a guitar. We're playing a C and a G on the icicle setting of the keyboard.
Well,
you know?
Having said that, though, that takes you a bit away from mainstream rock. So you're kind of trying to you're trying to make a living off this, but without catering to the masses.
Right. Well, that's just isn't that a lot of people's goal?
I know. I'm not saying it's a bad goal by any means. I'm just saying it makes it more. You're challenging yourself more than you need to.
Well, you got to challenge yourself because you got to make yourself happy. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're not happy doing it, then what's the point?
Right.
You know? So, I mean, to us, it's never really been about making. Yeah, I wouldn't know. It's not about making money. To us, it's always been about being happy. You know, for me, I was in college, going to school, about to get a degree, and we got signed to a Triple Crown, which did not give us a lot of money. The deal was shit, and it was just, but we just wanted to do it because we loved playing music, you know? And so at that point you're just well, you do it for the fun of it, and you do it because it makes you happy, and your happiness kind of suppresses the financial aspect of it, a lot of times.
What got you into music? What were the records that started you off?
I think the music that got me into rock music was Nirvana's Nevermind. When I think I was in 6th grade, I feel like it was 5th or 6th grade. Somebody played me Nevermind, and at that point it kind of delved into Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and Nine Inch Nails, and
but your music's very different than that.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying. When I was 19 years old, that's what I listened to. That's when I was like, okay, I want to play the guitar, you know, and because I'd always played the piano since I was 4, but I never wanted to play music. I was good at it, but my mother was really adamant about me playing the piano, and I think I even signed a contract with her when I was 8 years old or something, because I hated the piano so much, but I was really good, that she was just like, I'm gonna bet you $1,000 that at 18 years old you're gonna be happy that I made you play the piano. I was like, hell yeah! we wrote out a contract and everything.
Did she get that $1,000?
No, she never got it. Because at about 14 years old, I think I was the first time. I went to private school my whole life, and in 8th grade, before I went to private high school, yes. In 8th grade, before I went to private high school, my parents let me go to public school for 1 year because all I did was complain about wanting to go to public school because my school had, I think, 12 students in it. So it was a really small school, and I felt really, really isolated in this little bubble. And I'd hang out with kids in public school that lived on my block, and I really felt like an alien half the time. Because there's just all their cultural differences, and it's silly because you literally live on the same block as these people, and they're coming in you don't have the new Looney Tunes badass T-shirt, and you're like, what's the Looney Tunes badass T-shirt?
I wear a suit and tie to school.
And so they let me go to public school for 1 year, and I made all these friends, and I had a party one night. My parents let me have a party, and I remember we had the big piano in the house, and there were all these cute girls, and they were like, hey, you play the piano? And I was like, yeah. I sat down, and literally the entire flock of people gathered around. I was like, oh, this is why the piano is good.
It gets girls.
And then I was like, yeah, Maya, I think you were right.
let's talk about this waist challenge, because that's probably going to get you some girls too.
Yes, lots of girls from the waist challenge.
And let's do one thing. So what is do one thing? Tell people what
do one thing is choosing something to do for the environment, to have a positive impact on the environment. But the simplest thing is to kind of get rid of your plastic water bottle use.
Right.
You know, I mean, I'm still learning about it all now. One of my closest friends, Mike, works for ACE. Mm-hmm. And so with that, he did a waste challenge about, I want to say it was like 4 or 5 months ago. And I was in Chicago, actually, visiting him. He lives in Oakland now. But at the time, he was working in Chicago. And so what happened is that we hung out for like 2 days because I had the day off. And he was doing this waist challenge. And I remember first thinking like how ridiculous it was, because we would go into a restaurant, and you know, he's like, there would be a napkin and like silverware on the table, and he'd like give it back to the waitress and be like, listen, like I'm trying to do a challenge where I don't accumulate any disposable waste for the month. Can you put this napkin back like where the napkins are, and just bring me back a fork and a knife, you know, and when you bring me out food, like please don't give me any paper goods with it, like. And so I remember thinking, like, this is like a little too much, you know, you're taking a little too far. Like, I feel like a lot of people are going to look at you like, dude, come on, you know? Yeah. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, it made a lot of sense, because then it makes you think. And you get put back into your place of, like, being in your van or your tour bus and watching, like, you accumulate a bag of garbage every, like, you know, twice a day. It's just people just throwing out bottles, throwing out trash, throwing out whatever it is. And you realize that, like, honestly, like 90% of the stuff that we throw out is kind of unnecessary. It's just a matter of convenience. It's a matter of convenience that you have a water bottle, or that you have your bottle of Arizona iced tea. You have your takeaway food. You have when you go to McDonald's and I see like every single, and it makes you aware of these things, that when you see somebody like go to get napkins, and they'll grab 20 napkins and put it on their plate, and you're like, they're only going to use 1 napkin, or maybe they'll use 5 napkins to wipe their hands once, and you're like, what are you doing? You know, like, you didn't need to use any of those napkins. I did it for 2 weeks last month, and once you tell yourself, you prepare yourself for the fact that you're not going to use napkins, you just eat more cautiously. Right. And then if you have to wash your hands, clean your hands, you go to the bathroom and you rinse them with water and you air dry.
You're probably eating healthier too, though.
You eat healthier.
Because you're not going to grab those little packets of barbecue sauce or whatever.
You can't use any packets of barbecue sauce or butter. You can't eat fast food, because it's all prepackaged.
Yeah.
And it just makes you, even like when you go out to a restaurant, it's really simple to sit down and like, well, first of all, now I'm aware of when I walk into a restaurant, if they're serving everything on plastic, you know, plates, or they're giving it to you in like the plastic wrap, and and like I've been a little bit more selective. I think it's one of the things that my friend Mike said that rings true, but I'm still like getting used to it, because I still feel like this like certain like energy pull that's different, but that I've been more cautious in walking into certain restaurants, like looking in the window and seeing that people are eating like from like ceramic plates, and with regular silverware. But the thing that he was saying, which I agree with, and I'm trying to find my voice with it, is to be more vocal, like walking into those places and actually making other people aware, and saying, hey, like, would you mind giving it to me, without the paper under the food, or like, you're making that sandwich, but could you not wrap it up for me, because I don't need it, because it doesn't need to be wrapped, you know? And so it's mainly just eating food in bulk, like a lot of nuts, fruits, and vegetables that you could get at Whole Foods and stuff like that, and then eating at restaurants that aren't going to be wasting anything. And that's kind of the only thing that